We are back for another heart-to-heart conversation, and wow, wow, wow. So grateful, number one, for you, Zoey, to be joining me, and number two, for the listeners, because this is for you, you guys tuning in. And I'm just so blessed and grateful to have this platform. And Zoey, there's so many things I could say about you. Like, you're just such a multifaceted human being.
Oh, you're so
So,
sweet.
yeah, and we're still getting to know each other. So, rather than me like talk about, who I think you are, I would love for you to share with us like your heart and who you show up in the world as.
Oh, that is a very good question. Well, Marissa, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here talking to you. The first time we talked, we just like opened up to each other, and it was really special. We ended up talking, I think, for like an hour,
Yep.
and we started off the conversation. uh I think I was like not having a great day or something like that, and I just immediately went into telling you that, and it almost like it became this heart to heart thing, like immediately, where it was okay for me to be me and be human and be in whatever space I was in. So anyways, who I show up in the world as, gosh, I feel like so many different things. Um, I love um holistic healing. And to me what that means is it really like puts together every single part of the human being. So I'm kind of like answering this question through saying that, because that really says who I am. Like I love nutrition and exercise. I'm a money coach, which I became after a lot of other experience. But it's really important, like your mindset about everything. Spirituality. I've recently connected to God even more so than I ever have. Um, and so I don't know if I missed anything, but probably. But just the whole part of a human being, like I'm very passionate about periods, for example. Like a woman being connected to herself and her period. And also that's what connects an individual, can also be men, to but obviously not necessarily through their period because they don't have one, but to their intuition. That's what can connect you to your intuition. But in terms of like something like that for a man, it could be the moon cycles, because I believe every single person on this earth is affected by the moon. I mean, it can affect the tides in our oceans, and we are 80% water. So to me, that's logically saying that we are affected by the moon.
Yes.
So I mean, this is kind of who I am in the world. And honestly, you said like who I show up as. I don't think that I always show up this way. Like I think a lot of people don't know a lot of things about me, and I don't always say that I'm into these things and that these are my beliefs. And really, all of it is my religion. All of it. Even when it's like, well, why would nutrition and exercise be under religion? Well, because for me, it um it just connects. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. That's hilarious. It just connects. What was I saying?
You were saying how like nutrition, like why would that be connected to religion? And so you're saying it connects.
Yeah. So I know I had like a random thought, and then it got in the middle of what I was saying.
I was totally following you though. I'm like,
Being human.
yes, that's what heart to hearts are all about, guys. Literally, okay,
Yes.
I could prepare for this podcast, but I told Zoe before we hopped on, I'm like, This is us just pressing record and just sharing from our heart. So, hello, welcome to our mind and our brain, which sometimes have brain farts, and we just forget where we were headed.
Yeah. So religion, exercise. Um, yeah, I just think that like all of these things are, it's really how we express ourselves in the world, and it all contributes to how we're showing up in the world. I think that's about what I was going to say about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, brain farted.
Well, and I feel like it's so beautiful. I love that you took it to the holistic health and then talked about spirituality. You talked about periods, intuition, all of this nature and how we're connected to the moon. Because, yeah, we are all of it, especially as feminine beings. I'm like, we can't, there's so many, we feel it all.
We're magical creators.
We are so magical. Can we just like take a moment to celebrate us? Wow.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's so amazing. And I want women to connect to themselves more, and we don't. I mean, I think that's why we have period pain, because it's actually a denial of that part of ourselves. And it's our bodies saying, come back to this. Come back to the actual power of having a period. I mean, we create life, and every month that life is being removed because it didn't actually become life. But yeah, so I believe in natural healing and through all of this stuff that I just mentioned. So
yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing it all. And I'm sure there's plenty of stuff too here that we haven't said, right? This is just parts of our story and parts of who you are. And I so resonate with what you said about how, yeah, not a lot of people know me as this, right? Because especially with social media, we present ourselves one way. And I know for a fact, in my own experience, I have filtered. And I actually made a declaration this year, 2021, that like, no more of that. You get to get all of me. No more filtering. Like you get the woo woo, the maybe parts of me that I didn't even accept in myself. Like that is going to be showing up. And if you're not here for it, cool. Maybe you weren't my people, and that is okay.
I'm stealing that declaration.
Do it. Oh, it's totally like I'm not even claiming it as my own. Sure, it's
Yeah.
Marissa, but I'm like, please let this be a declaration for all women to heal and to liberate ourselves. When I'm realizing more and more when I liberate myself, there are thousands of women who maybe aren't even born yet who are also going to be liberated from my own liberation.
Yes. Yes, it's so true. It's so true. But even people who are living now. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
even after, even that are not born yet. Absolutely. That's so cool.
Wow. So look at, see, this is why I love our connection because I'm like, we're only what, a couple minutes in, I don't even know, into this. And we have taken it to this deep place and I love it and I'm here for it. And we couldn't have even planned this. Like, here
Yeah.
I thought that, I mean, obviously we're going to get into this, but I thought that we were going to be talking about your story and kind of how you got onto this path, which, yeah, maybe let's backtrack. Maybe
I
let's,
would love to talk about that because it wasn't, yeah, I was not always on this track for sure. So, but go
yeah.
ahead.
So, so let's talk about a pivotal moment in your journey where you did realize, oh, or yeah, actually, I don't even want to fill in what you realized because that's for you to share. Just a pivotal moment in your journey.
Well, you and I did talk about this a little bit, and I think that there are several pivotal moments, but the first one was actually my brother dying 11 years ago, and he took his life. And I watched him go through, a lot of depression and stuff beforehand. Actually, I think about 6 months before he died, or maybe even a year, like stuff really started to happen. But especially 3 months, there was the 3 months before, there was really a lot going on. And I guess I want to call it the downfall of my brother, but where he was in and out of the hospital, and um, he really, like, I don't want to say he lost his mind, but that's kind of what it was. Like, it wasn't my brother anymore, and it was a different person. He was a different person, and it was really scary. But I never thought that he would take his life. You don't ever really think, like, I had thought about it while me and my family were like going through stuff, and there were conversations that were had that was like, okay, don't leave him alone. Like, what if we come back and he has killed himself? And so there were conversations like that. So it was in our awareness, but you never really think that it's actually going to happen. Like, you just can't fathom it. So it happened, and it was devastating, to say the least. I mean, but in the first year, and actually the first probably 3 years, but definitely the first, were really, really hard. But and it's funny because I've got two sisters. I have more, but that's a whole nother story. But I have two sisters that I grew up with that are from my mother. And we each experienced it differently. We each reacted to it differently. And yeah, like I started drinking a lot, and I would go out to the bars and stuff. But I think I was at the age, 23, that I was already kind of doing that. So that was just another way that I coped. But it wasn't the only way. And this is why it's pivotal for me. Because the other thing I was doing while being depressed and drinking was I was throwing myself into my studies. Because it was my second quarter into college ever, that he took his life. So it was fall quarter. I ended up, my brother played piano, so I always wanted to learn an instrument. So I was, I just like asked myself the question when he died. And I don't remember like clearly asking myself this question, but it was just like there. It was like, okay, I'm alive. Like, when somebody dies, you have the experience like, okay, I survived. Like, I'm alive, but they're dead. Like, they're gone, but I'm still here. And so I just felt like so drawn to living. And I was happy to be alive. Like, I was happy to have survived, almost as if like I was in an accident, and I survived. I never actually put it that way, but that's kind of what it was like. It was like I almost died, but really, like, a piece of me died. And it was, oh my God, a piece of me did die. And it was that piece of me that wasn't living to the fullest. It was the piece of me that, yeah, wow. So I wanted to live. So the third quarter, I believe it was, I decided to enroll myself into piano class. And I started learning the piano. And I took a whole year of it, and I learned all the basics. And then over the next couple years was when, like, I started the second year of piano. And my teacher, she actually her father had committed suicide. It was so perfect that I was in her class. Like, one day she played a song, and it was the Moonlight Sonata, and my brother used to play that song, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Wow. Like, in this class with this woman. And and I wasn't like totally connected to myself, but that was a trip. Like, that was a trip, like, whoa. And so then I ended up telling her, but I'm kind of going on and off, but yeah, the second year of piano, I went and took a test in her office, and she's like, Zoey, without ever having any experience in this, you are really good. Like, you're better than some of my students who have been doing this since they were kids. And then I dropped out of the second year piano. And this is another thing. Like, I became pregnant when I was 24.
Wow, I don't think I knew this.
About a year after my brother died. So this was a year after my brother died, and I chose to actually keep the baby, and I miscarried. And so that was devastating because it was right around the year anniversary of my brother's death. But it was meant to be. In my opinion, the mind and the body are connected. So it wasn't the right time for me. And I truly believe that that's why I miscarried, because my mind was sending the clear message to my body that it wasn't the time. Wow, I'm just going on and on about this pivotal moment, but it really was. Have you heard of post-traumatic growth?
So opposite of post-traumatic stress disorder?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us your definition, will you?
Well, I mean, I think that I'm living the definition because I was not handed, I was not, I was not dealt the greatest hand in life. And, I mean, it's just, yes, it's after a traumatic experience. There's probably like a million different paths somebody can go down when they have a traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just gonna, for the point of this, like, I'm just gonna say there's two. Like, I could have gone this way or I could have gone that way. And I went the way towards, I am living now, and like, I have to live. I can't keep doing the same shit I've been doing. So also at the time that my brother died, I'd been taking Adderall for 2 years because I wanted to be skinnier. And I was lying to everybody. I lied to the doctor to get it. And so after my brother died, like, I just quit cold turkey. And I kept it. I kept the pills. I was like, I'm quitting. Like, and I told my sister, I told my family, like, I was lying. Like, I've been taking this for all the wrong reasons. And so it was just stuff like that. And, my sister went down a little bit of a different path, but I won't get into that. But it was really devastating because I didn't really have my sister there next to me, one of them. So that's kind of what I mean by, like, we each had our own experience and we each reacted differently.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be better. Like, I just wanted to live a better life and be happy and not ever, like, get to the point where I wanted to end my life.
And that's powerful. That analogy that you used about it's like being in a car accident and walking away alive. The fact that I can so relate, because literally why I'm on this path and why I started Heart to Heart Conversations is because I feel like I was given a second chance at life, because I was told at 13 years old that I had an atrial septal defect, a hole in my heart. And I mean, thank goodness they found it and that I had surgery and everything. But here I was, 13 years old, thinking that I'm invincible, and all of a sudden told, number one, there's something wrong with you, and number two, if we wouldn't have found this, you could have down the road been pregnant, had a stroke, and died. And so it was just like this, whoa, huge wake up call of, oh my gosh, it's kind of like that. I don't know how to put it succinctly, but it's like that, you live your life as if it's like, oh, it's practice. Like, oh, one day I'll actually follow through on my dreams. But no, all of a sudden I realize, okay, there's no more practice. This is life. And I think that's why I look back at the bold actions that I've taken and the way I've lived my life. It's because I know, like, it's because I've gotten close to death in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I look at you and your life and the pivotal moments that have led you to where you are now. And I very much see similarities. And obviously, your path is unique and beautiful, and your journey is yours and yours only. But wow, like the human experience, y'all. I'm just so in
Yeah,
awe.
we're so similar too. You know, I love that. I think that we always come in contact with people who it's like that. Like, oh my gosh, it's we experienced a lot of the same things, and even if it doesn't look the same on the surface, like it can still be the same, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
That we experience the same things, and I just think that that's human, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, so this conscious choice to devote your life to that path of growth. And, you know, I love how you shared that even that piano class, it was like you were meant to be there and you were meant to interact with that teacher. And I almost saw the way you were describing the story. I'm like, ooh, I think maybe a reason why you were so good at piano just from the start is because I think your brother was there with you, like supporting you. I know that might sound woo woo,
Oh
but
no, I'm all for the woo woo. No, he was. Oh my gosh, he so was. He was for sure.
mm,
And you want to know why I know? One, he came to me in my sleep a couple days after he left. Um, and then also on the night of his funeral, I we all went out to dinner after we got drunk. And we went to this place called the Satellite in Spokane, and it's where my brother used to always go. And I found a pink agate on the floor. Like we all got in the booth, and then I look down to my right, and there's a pink agate, and I pick it up and I put it in my pocket, and I don't think anything of it. But then I think like 4 or 5 years later, it was in my glove box in my car, and I pull it out, and it was the first time I started interacting with stones, and I was like, oh my gosh. So the pink agate is meant to heal your heart, um like open up your heart and heal the love that you have with your mother and yourself. And I was really mad at my mother after my brother died. And so it clicked right then when I went and looked up like what's the pink agate, like what rock is this and what is the pink agate for. I was like, oh my gosh, it's my brother. He sent this and he has been guiding me. Just the other day I was having a conversation with somebody, and I said it. I was like, I know, you know, I'm okay now. And I know my brother is here with me. And it just choked me up that I even said that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I think he's been guiding me. And
mm.
yeah, anyways, that's a whole nother conversation about like woo woo stuff, which I'm totally into. I
Yeah.
definitely believe there are guides guiding us all the time. And
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm like, there's almost no words. Sometimes I'm like, these heart to heart conversations, it's so much more a feeling and experience. And it's just such an honor to like to be here and to be speaking with you. And then also I think the magic and the power is when other people listen to it and get to hear inside your life and your story and know that they're not alone, right? I mean, I think back to when we were speaking, that was over the summer. I had no idea my very own cousin, 21 years old, was going to attempt suicide. And so I feel like my heart has been expanded through that experience. He's alive and with us today. That being said, though, it's a long journey ahead. He still doesn't want to be here. Yeah, we saved his life, but he's still, fighting that battle in his head.
mm-hmm.
And it's tough for the loved ones, for him, for everyone
Yeah,
connected to him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being totally honest and human, um, there's been times where I wouldn't say that I wanted to kill myself, because it's not, I have, it's just been, there's been times in the past where I've wanted to like disappear or go to sleep for a long time, or like not be experiencing the thing I was experiencing at the time. Um, but yeah, I mean, so I don't know. It's very complex, humans are, and I think it's totally normal. It's totally normal for a person to think about their life
Mm-hmm.
and maybe what it would be like if they were no longer here, having to experience this experience, being a human.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't talk about it, and I wish we did.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed. I'm glad you took it there because yeah, I mean, having just graduated college and graduating into a world that frankly I didn't really want to graduate into. This reality around me, it's like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. And I have been mostly talking to my parents of like, what's the point? And like, why am I here? And yeah, you can look at it that in a dark sense, but my dad, he's so sweet, bless his heart. He's like, Marissa, people have been asking that question for centuries. And you,
yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
why are we here?
Well, I think when we die, and this is just like, it just rings true for me. I have no facts, but that's how I've created my own religion, is by things like vibrationally feeling good and true in my body. And I think when we die, like, we actually go back to the place where we came from. It's all love and light. And I don't believe in hell. I don't. I believe in hell on earth, but I don't believe in hell after death. I believe in one place, and when you go back there, everything, and
Mm.
you only do take the love, and I don't know. So that's what I believe about when we die.
Yeah, I actually it's so funny that you mentioned that because I was on a Zoom the other day and it got to be like it was a group Zoom and got to be a pretty deep discussion. And I remember putting in the chat, I was like, yeah, for all we know, I mean, maybe death, like once we die, it's just an epic dance party, Like why are we so afraid?
Yeah.
But I do think part of this human experience and us being here is us truly remembering who we are.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
It's the unbecoming, it's the unlearning.
Yeah, yeah. It's an unbecoming. I love how you say that. It's like we come into this world being totally, I don't even know if we remember, but in a way I think we do, or we're just curious, we're babies, and we're totally pure, and then
Innocent.
we learn all these things from the people who we came through. And then we have to unlearn those things and learn new things. Totally. Absolutely. All my
Yeah.
That's my life. That is my
Mm,
life. Like, I love learning. Oh, yes. I feel like
same.
I just wanted to learn all the things, and so I almost feel like I didn't become a master of anything, but like just learned a lot of things. But I don't know.
Yeah, okay, it's kind of this odd like duality, right? Because it's this unbecoming and remembering who we truly are, but at the same time, I look at both of us and our paths, and it's like there is that drive to learn and evolve and grow, and at the same time, I think that path of growth, and you talk about the post-traumatic growth, especially, that's an accelerated path of growth where yeah, you're learning, but it's really like in the end learning who you truly are, right?
Yeah.
And peeling back the layers and discovering, okay, this is who I am. I thought I was whatever your identity and labels were. And then it's like, oh, but who is the Zoe who came into this world trusting, and was just like a ball of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And I have to point out too, I mean, we're talking here at the beginning of 2021 in January when everyone's re- talking about their resolutions and what they want this year to be and their intentions, right? And I I look at it and I just have to chuckle because it's like we all want the same things. We want us, I mean, I say simple life, but we want that connection. We want that intimacy, the love, the joy, the playfulness. Why do we make it so complicated?
I know, we do. We do.
Oh. Mm,
And I don't know
man.
the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe that's just like a question out to the
Do you
universe.
just love the drama? Because, I mean, I was thinking about this. Okay, so let's see how I can tell you about this without giving up too much of myself. But like, sometimes I'll watch myself like create more chaos. Like, oh, it's been calm for a week. And it's not like I see myself creating the chaos. It's like, or, chaos or drama. But when it's happening, I'm like, am I doing this on purpose because everything is going so well? And just a side note about that, for me individually, and some people might relate to this, but it's because I grew up in a chaotic life, in a like it was drama. And so there is parts of me, like how I'm hardwired, that always has to be happening. Like my nervous system is wired to be going into fight and flight. And so I have to ask myself, like, am I unconsciously creating this? Like, in that moment when I'm experiencing something, like, am I creating this?
Mm.
And yeah, I don't always see how, but it's the unconscious mind just has its way with you, and you're blind to it until you become unblind. That's where you
Unbecoming, unblind.
unblind.
Yeah, wow, super key awareness. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure people can relate. I know I was talking to a friend where, yeah, it's like that chaos is their safety, which is kind of hard to grasp, and wrap your mind around. But yeah, if that's what you grew up in that environment and maybe even associate it with love or safety, then of course your nervous system is going to want to do its best to unconsciously, like you said, create that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm curious, do you have like when you notice that coming up, do you have I don't know, a practice or something that you turn to help you when you realize, oh, I'm creating my own suffering?
Well, and when I said I love learning, like I think this is the type of stuff I've always loved learning. Like from a pretty young age, what's so funny is my sister and my brother who's now deceased, we all went to school for psychology. My sister didn't like finish or anything, but she was going, we were all going for the same thing. And it's no wonder, because it's almost like you don't mind if I cuss, do you? Is
Do
it,
it.
is it okay to cuss? Okay. Well, we grew up, we all had like a fucked up life, like a fucked up childhood. And so we all ended up, like, we wanted to understand, why we were fucked up. So I've just spent all my life like learning about myself and learning about humans. And I also became a yoga teacher. So I think the whole like being aware, I mean, it's taken a lot of practice. And it's also like you and I have done work at Landmark, and it's also, what was I going to say? Um, it's just looking at yourself. Like you have to be willing to look at yourself and be like, wow, I can be such an asshole. Or I was really mean to that person. And yeah, you don't want to make yourself wrong, but I think through transforming yourself, you have to be willing to fucking feel like shit. And I don't know if that's true for everybody, but like you have to go through it. Like you have to experience, oh my God, like I did all that stuff in the past. I'm a horrible person, but like you go through that and realize, wait, I'm not a horrible person. I can use this as long as I don't keep being that way, but like I can use this for something better. I don't know. So
Yes.
it's not like there's a specific technique. I think it just takes practice, but also bringing something from unawareness to awareness is going to be the key too. Like if somebody points out, wow, you're being da 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 da, whatever, you've got to be able to be like, am I being that way? Like, is that really me?
Mm.
And some, you know, in my experience, like shame is one of the hardest things to, that's the hardest for me. And I'm not sure why. I know it's really hard for a lot of people, but like when I feel ashamed, I mean, I revert back to old patterns and behaviors and it sucks. Like it sucks. Like shame is the worst for me.
Yeah.
Because I think it reminds me like of it not reminds me, but it feels like nobody loves me. And it feels like I'm not even worthy of loving myself when I feel ashamed. And it can be triggered by, you know, little things. Like if I accidentally hurt somebody's feelings, accidentally. Anyways, so yeah, I don't think there's one way, you know, or a technique to necessarily, do you have any techniques?
Now I'm thinking, I'm like, well, yeah, I think I think it's that willingness to confront yourself and to see those shadows or those dark parts that maybe you've avoided your whole life, but whether it's journaling or even having a conversation with someone else of like, this is what's coming up for me, and externally processing it, maybe with a therapist, maybe with a coach. Yeah, it actually, this is so perfect. It's coming full circle. It goes back to what we said at the beginning of like all parts of you. It's like loving all parts of you, not just the happy, bubbly Marissa and Zoey. No, it's like even that, as you said, asshole, like the asshole part of our identity where, yeah, we are mean and rude. And maybe we didn't intend to come across that way, but it impacted someone negatively. And so to be able to own that and take responsibility.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know, when I handed it over to you, like, do you have any techniques? I thought of one because going back to like your like how you're hardwired and like your nervous system. So one technique that I actually do use all the time, and I didn't think of it till now, but is actually like changing where you are physically. So let's say I'm sitting down and I get really upset right now, then one of the best things is to get up. Like get up because you're moving, like stand up. Like even if it's just stand up, like you're getting yourself out of that because there's a physicalness and an emotional connection, like at the same time, if that makes sense. Like in this position and I'm feeling a certain emotion, but if I physically move myself out of that and go do something else, that helps me a lot and that is how you can rewire your brain, which is really cool.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, this is my jam. I love this. Yeah.
You know what I do a lot? Like I'll talk to myself and be like, no, Zoey, you are lovable. Like, no, don't say that. Like we all have a voice in our head, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not you. It's not you. It's like the who you wound up being. It's the other people's voices in your head, or like just the negative, blah, nasty stuff. And I don't know if, like, I imagine I'm not the only one that experiences this, but like the voice in my head says nasty things to me.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So I will talk back to it and say, no, no, you are beautiful, Zoey.
Mm.
And almost like I'm not talking back to it, but just speaking over it, like, because that,
Yeah.
and it all comes with awareness. Like, you have to be aware. I remember when I first read the book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And this was back in 2012, like not long after my brother died. And that's when I started changing my thoughts, and I started journaling and like rewiring my brain. And that's when I started to, the thoughts got louder. Like, I would be getting ready for, um, I would be getting ready for work and like putting on clothes, and I would start to hear the voice like, "Oh, you can't wear that. You don't look good in that." Da, 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 da. And I would literally just interrupt, sit down, take my journal, and write out these, new thoughts that I wanted to actually believe, instead of that crappy thought that was coming through. So those are some things that I've done. Like, you have to interrupt it.
Mm.
And I think it's going to work differently for everybody, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm like, a big part of this is being able to have it look messy and have it, because I'm like, I know what stopped me in the past is people are gonna think I'm talking to myself, and that's kind of weird, and like I'm just gonna shut that down. But you know what's even like even crappier than that is having that voice in your head dictate your life, right? Like, and so, yeah, getting over that hump of, you know what, I might look crazy and that is okay. Like, my life, I get to create my life and get to rewire my thoughts. And how empowering is that?
Mm-hmm. I
I
know,
even,
it's really empowering.
yeah, well, and I even think, I know I'm still kind of wiggling my way into this, but mirror work is
Oh
huge.
yeah.
Sitting in front of the mirror, and it might look like 5 seconds the first day because you can't stand to sit in a mirror looking at yourself for 5 minutes. But whether it's saying mantras or affirmations or speaking life and love into yourself
Mm-hmm.
first thing in the morning.
Yeah. I love that. I don't always do it first thing in the morning. Like today, my day kind of started off a little bit wacky. So I'm probably going to do that in a little bit, because I always sit down and I do clear my chakras. And this is a fairly new practice that I've taken on because I realized it was missing. But I use affirmations and I use the chakra sounds. But actually, I was going to tell you how, like, I'll stand in front of the mirror, like doing my makeup or whatever, and I will talk to I'll sometimes talk to myself, but like I'll check myself out naked. I usually like will do uh my makeup or my hair or something naked. Like, I love walking around naked. Good thing my partner likes that too, but
Yeah.
um and he does it too. It's so great. But don't tell him I said that.
My lips are sealed. This isn't a
um
podcast going out to the world. It's fine.
but like, I will talk to my beauty products, or like water, for example, like while I'm putting it on, like, oh my gosh, like this is making me so beautiful. Like, this is my beauty cream, like all sorts of different things. So
Talk about being willing to, yeah, just like look crazy and whatever. Like, it
oh
sounds like
yeah,
that totally adds to your routine and to
yeah.
like fills you up.
Yeah, and it's really like, it's not like I always do the same stuff, because it just depends. But
Yeah.
and what's so cool? I know we said we weren't going to talk, I wasn't going to talk about my partner, but one thing that I do that I've never felt so comfortable doing is I'll actually pray in front of him.
Hmm.
Sometimes we've prayed together where we're just like talking to God and thanking God or source, whatever you want to call it. I didn't grow up religious, but I've never felt so comfortable doing that until I met him. And, I'll do affirmations and he can hear me. He's right there on the bed, like while I'm doing it at the edge of the bed. And
Hmm.
it's really, really awesome. But Anyways, I digress.
I love that. No, thank you. Thank you for bringing that in. Wow, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to have a partner or even a friend to witness that and to be supportive in your journey of
Yeah.
doing that. So, oh my gosh, I'm like, we have gone all over the place and I love it. And I'm excited to listen back to this and just like, yeah, create a
Me too.
title. um, I'm curious, is there something that we haven't touched on that you would like to share in these last couple minutes?
Well, I'd love to talk about a little bit about what I do now because I am a money coach and I'm currently taking clients.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hear it. Share all the deets.
Well, shoot, what should I tell you? I mean, um, I'm, what I love about money coaching is that it basically takes everything, it's individualized. I mean, it takes everything that we just talked about, like all this stuff, like I work it into my money coaching because, it's not just about making money. It's not. But if you think about it, it is a survival need. Like you need money to survive. And so it's important that you have a good relationship with money. And uh, you know, I'm not a financial coach. Although I do, like, I know how to budget and I know, tricks and tips when it comes to managing finances. So I know all that. And so my background's in psychology, and then I also ontology, which is the study of nature of being, which you also know about through Landmark. And I was a staff member there, and I was also the finance manager. So, I love that I get to put all of that together, like basically the brain and how it works and how our nervous system is working and how, we make decisions about money based on fear, based on wanting to feel better in that moment, and we're not always using like our thinking brain, our highest brain. So I love money coaching because I get to use all of my background, but
Mm.
it's not like, have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule? Like
Yes.
80% mindset and then 20% like strategy or action or however you want to put that. But money coaching is like that mindset. I basically will diagnose in a very short time what's holding you back. I will show you, um, I will point out the patterns and the behaviors and where they came from. And that's what we talked about a lot actually here is that awareness, because once you have awareness, you can actually do something about it. That is the most important part. Mindset is going to be the bigger percentage of what's important when it comes to anything. I mean, really anything, but money coaching is not just about money. It, like I said, it's, you know, people want to be spiritually fulfilled. So it's not about chasing money. It's about creating a life that you love. And
Mm.
whether you say so or not openly, I know everybody loves money. Um, Even though we may have a love-hate relationship with money, but everybody wants money. Everybody strives for money. Everybody works for money. And so if we're unaware of beliefs that we have about money, then they will get in the way and they'll sabotage you. And it's very interesting because it will sabotage you in relationships. I think of it as a mirror. The way you are with money might mirror your another part of your life, but when you look in the mirror, you're actually seeing a turned around image of yourself. And so it may not look exactly the same in another area of your life, but I do believe that we are the same in all areas of our life. But like I said, it's a mirror image. So it's like it looks different. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like from what I've learned too, I mean, money is, it's like, yeah, the way you are with money is the way you are with, it's just such a mirror, I think, for self-worth, for even self-love. And, like yeah, it's just such I love how you phrase it as a relationship as well. And talking about the mindset piece too, because that's huge.
Well, I would love to give you an example of my own life since I'm letting you into my heart here.
Yes.
So I want to tell you two things. One about my father, and then the other one is about how I had like my first financial breakthrough. So, well, meeting my father, I met him when I was 30. I'm 33. And after I met him, and having some conversations with him, I realized that I had connected. Well, so he was paying child support when I was young, up until I was 18, but he never tried to contact me. So back then, a long time ago, I had made up a story. And this is what I had realized after I met my father, was that I could not have love from a man and have money, because the one, man that was, supposed to be in my life, or at least I thought he should have been, wasn't in my life, but he was giving me money. But he didn't love me, was my thought. And so when I like talked to him when I was 30, I realized this. And I had been having troubles in relationships with men and with money. And so once I realized that, holy smokes. I mean, things just started to change. And it's so nuts. But the other thing that I wanted to share with you was about I had realized that I wasn't asking for what I deserved in jobs, because I didn't really think that I was worth it. And I'm sure, like, I feel like I hear this all the time, people not asking for what they're worth. And I just wasn't. And then when I did, I actually did get it. I got what I was worth. But I still had money issues. And then I started managing money as the finance manager. So, it all worked out. But it was really like a step-by-step process. And I really never thought I'd meet my dad. And I never had any idea that I had love and money, intertwined, like, mixed up. And so we all have things that are kind of like that. You don't think that money is going to be connected to love in your relationships that you have with men or not, or women or whatever, be anyway. But
Yeah. And then boom, you listen to a podcast like this and you're like, whoa, there's so many things I
yeah,
didn't
I
know.
hope
And
somebody, gets something out of this.
yeah. Oh, I already know. I mean, there's so much value that we're providing. And I mean, how can people connect with you and reach out to you for support? Because clearly, I mean, we're both here as coaches, you as a money coach, me as a heart and life coach. And so, yeah, how can people connect?
Well, my name's Zoey Shannon, as it says right here on the screen. And basically it's www.zoeyshannon.com. And, all my services are on there, and you can find me there. And I encourage you to take the money type quiz, and you can request a free consultation if you want. But the money type quiz is going to tell you your active and your passive money archetypes. And those are really interesting. And once we do a consultation, I can share what it means for you in your life and see what we can do. But it's very insightful. I promise you. You
That's
should check it out, Marissa.
yeah, I'm like, whoa, is this on your website? I'm like, this is cool. Another resource. Thank you. I had no idea.
Totally.
Awesome. Thank you again just for sharing
Oh
your
my God,
heart.
this has been so fun.
It's been so good. So,
I
so,
hope
so
it was
good.
meant to be that I talked a lot, because I talked a lot.
Hey, you shared your heart, and no, I love it. Thanks for being so freely expressed and willing to let people in to your heart.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
Anytime.
Much love. Thank you to the listeners. We will see you for the next episode.